All right, here's the next day. It is the 21st of November, and you can see the high of day. It already started falling down before we even got into work. So here's the high of the day on the 5-minute chart, and that's early in the morning. Here's 8 in the morning. You can see it's already down pretty far. So we're looking for the low of the day, and it never really gets to the low of the previous day, which is way down here. So it's more or less an inside bar day. It never gets to the high, it never gets to the low. And so on days like that, it's pretty challenging to figure out where we want to find a breaker block and start using fair value gaps. Okay, inside this square is the early morning start session to the close of New York session, 4 p.m. on the 5-minute. Same thing here with the 1 minute. That's the inside working hours of our schedule. And so you can see price just keeps falling down, and there's no breaker anywhere. I don't see any, even if there was, which there's an area here of consolidation, depending on what that lined up with inside the 4-hour chart of the previous day, we might have found some kind of support level to work with, but just having the day high and low of previous day and looking for special kinds of breaker blocks. Let's see if we can draw one here and see what we come up with, like this kind of idea here. And then it slams down. And of course, it would have to break the high of this candle here, and it doesn't. So we really don't get any really true breaker block idea on this at all. It's just you'd have to use a different strategy on this. I do see a fair value gap right here that worked pretty well. I don't know how to reconcile this as a breaker block unless we use this. It depends on what we find on the 1-minute chart. Let's take a look at this. There's a pivot low here. It goes up here, comes down here, and then here, and then here, and then it pushes up. I just don't see where. Okay, if we go something like that, okay, then we might have something, because it starts to create a fair value gap right here. That is one wild looking breaker block, but I've seen people with videos that talk about these things, and I can't see what they're talking about. So there may be something here on the 1-minute chart. Let's transfer this to all charts, see what we get on the 1-minute chart, see if there's anything valid on the 1-minute chart. Right there, let's go over now and take a look at that. Okay, so here's what we have when we transfer those lines over to the 1-minute chart. There is a fair value gap right here, and it is tested right there. If we could figure out how to reconcile this pattern as a breaker block somehow, or maybe combine this strategy with other strategies in the future as we get more and more familiar to branch out with new ideas, and maybe this would work. But if we're just judging from a fair value gap opportunity only, and we are long biased on the day chart, if we are long biased on this day chart, and any pullback we want to look for an opportunity to go long, then this fair value gap would be the only place, probably the best place, to enter in on this particular day. All right. Is there a true breaker block here somewhere? It's possible I'm not even seeing this one right here. Let's take a look a little closer. A lot of times when things are developing in real time, you have a chance to see what's going on. After the fact, like I'm looking at it right now, it's hard to really judge what you would do in real time. So let's erase everything. Let's take a look at this area right here, because I do see a fair value gap right here, and I do see some testing going on right there. But it's it's after that move right there too. So let's draw it out now. Let's say we were watching this in real time, and it was a lot slower in developing than we're giving it credit for. Let's see where we have these moves here. There's a pintail here that goes up, comes back down, and then shoots up here. There's no fair value gap there until we get here. Now we have a fair value gap right there. Okay. It's possible that we could just simply ignore this one here, since it didn't create a higher high or anything, and just go with this one move right up here. And see, it did break this structure right here. So I don't know how you want to draw this stuff. Maybe it needs to go something like this. And like I said, I am learning too. And all I know is that I'm learning, and if this is some type of really weird shaped breaker block, then this would have been the best place to enter this thing. That and right here on this one right here. And I'll be honest with you, I really want a nice clean textbook breaker block. But if I'm biased long for the day and I see consolidation starting to rise up, and if I had other time charts I was using, say an hour chart or a 4-hour chart, and I saw any kind of Fibonacci retracement or anything else that gave me a viable variable to work with, because all I'm using is the 5-minute and the 1-minute and the day chart. That's not very much to work with. There's all kinds of other variables we could use to add to this strategy that might help us make a better decision. And with those other variables missing, it's hard to say whether we would take this or not. But based solely on the idea that I think that we're in a bull market, I'm going to look for fair value gaps that are tested and supported. And this one was tested multiple times. Let's say we didn't know about the first entrance here, and we're like, I'm not sure. Well, look, it's tested twice, thrice, and here it is 4 times. And then creates another one here that's tested. I think somewhere in this process here, I might have built some kind of confidence that I could give it a try if my stop loss is very, very tight. So that's all we have on this particular day. That's the 1-minute chart. You saw what the 5-minute chart gave us. We're still trying to figure out how we would have drawn a breaker block on this, but we do see, on the 5-minute chart, another fair value gap area that would have worked. So that's all we have for the 21st. Let's continue to move on. Peace.